Hello to you all and welcome to IMPROVATE's first international conference. IMPROVATE is a platform for connecting governments and innovation companies. IMPROVATE's mission is to connect change makers in technology with leaders in governing positions. IMPROVATE is dedicated to find solutions and sparking collaborations that will improve the quality of life for the many. Here with us, IMPROVATE's founder and chairman, Irina Nevzlin. Our special guest today, the Right Honourable Tony Blair, the former Prime Minister of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and the founder and chairman of the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change. Also with us today are honourable ministers from Israel and Africa, Mr. Yizhar Shai, Minister of Science and Technology from Israel, Mr. Joseph Antoine Kasonga Mukata, Minister of Agriculture, Democratic Republic of Congo. Also with us, Omari Tewebe Gumba, Deputy Minister of Agriculture, Tanzania, Minister Ato Sani Reddy, Minister of Natural Resources Management and Food Security in Ethiopia, Professor Edie Boga, Secretary of the State Department for Crop Development and Agriculture Research, Kenya, Minister Jubalani Mabuza, Minister of Agriculture, Eswatini, Mr. Jonathan Bialosuka Wata, the Minister of Fisheries and Livestock in Congo, Mr. Masima, he is the Ambassador of Tanzania in Israel, and Mrs. Coringanor, Head of Structures and Export Finance at Bank Discount. We will hear today from Israel leading agrotech and innovation companies. They will present solutions here in the studio in the field of food security. Food security has become a burning issue, especially today because of the pandemic. That is why we choose to deal with this thing today. Here at the studio or via Zoom, Netafim, Next Firm, LR Group, ICL, Alphabet Planners, AgroScout, Bioefficiency, Milky, Burmad, and finance company that can help these wonderful tech companies to do businesses in Africa. Discount Bank, Ashra, East Africa International Finance Corporation, and African Export-Import Bank, Afrexim Bank. Also watching us, a representative of investment funds from around the world that are looking for investment in Israel innovation companies. This conference will be the first one in the series of international conference held by IMPROVATE to connect between governments and innovation companies. So let's start. I would like first to introduce Irina Nevzlin, the founder and the chair of IMPROVATE. Irina is an Israeli entrepreneur. She grew up and started her career in Moscow, continued in London, and now lives in Israel. She's the author of the book, The Impact of Identity, the Power of Knowing Who You Are. Over the last decade, as a chair of the board of the Museum of the Jewish People, she conducted a $100 million transformation. It is now the biggest Jewish museum in the world, telling the story of unity and success. So, Mrs. Nevzlin, what is the vision behind IMPROVATE?
First, Danny, thank you very much for the question. And I have to tell something. I'm very excited. I'm grateful to everybody who is watching us and who is with us in the studio. It's our first inaugural conference, and we did it at the time when it's hard to imagine it's possible. And it's possible because there is some nice woman looking to me from control room, Ronit Hassin-Hochman, who is my partner and the CEO of the company who made it happen. Now, back to your question. You see, I think we all know that there is a crisis in leadership around the world. We see it everywhere, not just in crisis. It started before. Another problem is that for leaders to lead now, it became much more complicated because the world became so much more complicated. And so in order to lead in times like that, you really need to be able to do the teamwork and to bring different brains together. And what I see is that over the last decade, 2 decades, we really have 2 leadership groups. One is elected politicians, And the other one is tech companies, which are growing in their impact on life of everybody. Now, those two groups ought to talk together to build a shared language, and this is where we come into place. We want to make sure that these groups come and work to make life better for all of us and for many.
So, Mrs. Nevslin, how can IMPROVATE help the world in those problematic days?
I'm glad you asked. Look, I think a lot of people who are here with us today get invitations to a lot of different gatherings. Now it's mostly online, but it used to be physical, where you have these discussions, which are basically two topics. One topic is issues and problems that we have, and the second one is who are we going to blame today for those problems? Now, while I think it's very important to know what problems we have and how we got to that, I also feel that there's a big group of people around the world who want to have another discussion. And the discussion is, okay, we have a problem. There's a theoretical reason why we got to where we got. But what we want to do is come together and find the solutions that will actually make our life better and everybody's lives better. So this is, I think, what IMPROVATE ought to do, especially in the time of crisis.
So that's what we're going to do in the next hours. Thank you, Mrs. Nevslin, for staying with us. And now to London. Hello, Mr. Tony Blair. It is a great honor to have you with us today. Today's meeting focuses on the subject that I know, very close to your heart, food security. Being active in Africa, how do you see the food security challenge in the continent, especially when the COVID pandemic makes a big problem in access to food?
Yeah, first of all, a big congratulations to everyone at IMPROVATE, to Irina and her team for making this get together happening. It's actually a huge tribute to their skill and ingenuity that they've managed to get so many people together on what I think is going to be a really important method of connecting people for the betterment of people in Africa. So food security is, of course, a huge challenge. And it was a challenge before COVID. COVID has deepened that challenge. But there's one other thing that the COVID-19 crisis has done, and that is that any problem that was there before COVID is there now, but accelerated. And the same is true also of the thinking behind the solutions to these problems. So in all the conversations, my institute works in around 15 different African countries with teams of people, and we're about to go into several more, including some of the countries represented on this call. What we find is there's now an enormous interest in the whole question of technology and what it can do to accelerate Africa's development and accelerate the solutions to these long-standing problems. Now, on food security, it's very, very clear. There are still large numbers of people in Africa that go hungry. Africa, just to give you some data points, it imports around $80 billion worth of agricultural produce. It exports 40 billion. So it has a deficit when it should have a huge surplus. The tariffs between African countries on the export of goods between those African countries are high, on average 12%. That means sometimes you have a situation where, for example, in South Africa, it can be cheaper to import from Argentina than from an African country next door. And then thirdly, you've got a situation where the population of Africa is going to double in the next 30 years. So it's going to go from roughly 1.2 billion people to over 2 billion people. And at the same time, the numbers of people going to the cities is increasing. So this food security question has always been acute. It's even more acute now. And there is literally no way of dealing with this unless there's agricultural transformation in Africa. And that is to do with logistics and infrastructure and food production and scale. But technology has a role to play in each and every one of the issues that affect African agriculture.
Thank you very much, Mr. Blair. We will be talking with you later again. Thank you very much. Now, here in the studio, Minister of Science, that is the right thing. In Israel, Izhar Shai, Israel is considered an innovation nation. As a minister who only recently entered your position, what are your plans to expose the world to Israeli technology?
Thank you, Danny, and thank you for having me here, Rena and Danny. It's a great honor to be here. Israel is considered as one of the leading hubs of innovation around the world. We are building innovation in various areas of technology and science. And as we are building those areas, we are also always looking forward into what happens next. What are the trends that build the next exciting companies, the next exciting areas for exploration of scientists, technologists, people who build companies, people who build their research within universities. As we look into what happens in the near future, we are looking into the potential of artificial intelligence as one of the most significant worldwide trends, which has a practical implication in almost every aspect of our day-to-day lives. As this applies to our discussion here, AI, artificial intelligence, is very applicable towards the areas of agriculture, of precision agriculture, which is an up-and-coming market trend by itself, and is a basis for cooperation between Israel and I hope many nations in Africa, and by the way, around the world as well.
So can you say a word about Israel's startup companies and food security in Africa?
So, as a minister, I'm not allowed to mention names, so I will talk to the market segment. We do see Africa rising over the last decade as a potential market for Israeli companies. Traditionally, Israeli companies, even in the area of agriculture, were focused more on South America, North America, and some areas in the East. Now Africa has become a good trade partner for Israeli companies, for innovation companies that deal with the various aspects of food security. And again, you see companies developing technologies in the area of water technologies. You see companies developing in the areas of food improvements, yield, again, using AI for precision agriculture in order to improve the quality of crops, the quality of agricultural product around many sectors of that market. And we believe that this will also be the basis for much more to come, as the world is now realizing the importance of food technologies, of food security, and agriculture as a whole. I grew up in the Israeli high tech in the 90s. You would not talk about agriculture in the sense of innovation then. Nevertheless, we are 30 years later, which speaks to my age. And now we are talking agriculture as innovation, as an important aspect of the Israeli tech nation, startup nation, and innovation overall.
And as Mr. Blair said, the people of Africa will be double themselves in 30 years. So I'll be back to Mr. Blair. Mr. Blair, you had a big role in the new peace agreement between Israel and the UAE. It was mentioned that Israeli technology was one of the motivators for the UAE to enter the process. What can you say about it?
Yeah, just before I come to that, let me just pick up on something the minister's just said, which I think is really important. I mean, I think cooperation between Israel and Africa is the next big frontier that we're going to cross of Israel's place in the world and how Africa accelerates its development. And if you just go across the whole area of things that matter to African agriculture, whether it's productivity and yield, nutrition, seeds, precision agriculture, logistics, how you get stuff to market, how you prevent waste, financial payments, going to be a huge part of this because smallholder farmers, if they can use mobile technology in order to do business, they will do business much more effectively. There's a whole range of things. But yes, to come to your question, there's no doubt at all that the desire of the UAE to normalize relations with Israel, which is a momentous and important event, is of course partly about peace in the region and security in the region. But it also speaks to a common vision about what the future looks like. And that future is about highly educated workforces that are open-minded, creative, can easily cross boundaries.
Mr. Blair, hopeful that this new peace agreement with the UAE and Bahrain will open new horizons for Israel technology throughout the Arab world.
Yes, I think there's every chance of that. I think there's an enormous interest in all of these Gulf countries in Israeli technology. And also, it's important to recognize they're all diversifying their own economies because their economies heavily dependent or have been traditionally on oil. They can see what's happening with the world as it moves to clean energy. And so they want, in the end, to be switching their economy into high value added and technology processes.
Minister Shai.
On Mr. Blair's observations here, I totally agree with Prime Minister Blair's observation about the importance of technology and science as they relate to the cooperation between nations. You know, Danny, I looked at the agreement. There was a lot of conversation here in Israel about what do exactly those agreements contain between us and the United Emirates and Bahrain. And when I looked into those agreements, I was happy and proud to see that technology and science took a significant part of the agreement. There are specific provisions, as an example, in our agreement with Bahrain about the cooperation around science and space technologies. And I think it is a good indication that innovation today leads the dialogue between nations, reinforces the importance of peace, of the promotion of peace and dialogue between people. And it is very nice to see how this coincides with our capabilities here in Israel.
And peace is good for people and for business also.
And for business as well, yeah.
Thank you. We'll be back to Mr. Blair. Minister Reddy is Ethiopian's agriculture minister joining us from Addis Ababa. Hello, Mr. Reddy. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, thank you very much.
What food security challenges does Ethiopia face?
Okay, before let me express my gratitude for the esteemed panelists, leading Israeli ministers and the companies, media personalities for organizing this kind of international event. It is a really timely platform that the challenge needs. When we come to Ethiopia, I think the challenge of food security here in Ethiopia is multidimensional. I completely agree with Mr. Tony Blair. He addressed the population pressure, again, the policy matter, the lack of science and technology, the climate change. As I said, it is a multidimensional problems that bottleneck to ensure food security here in Ethiopia.
I must say, I visited your beautiful country, Minister, and I want to ask you one more question. How do you encourage implementation of new technology in Ethiopia?
I think we are trying a lot with cooperation, international development partners helping us a lot. By now, we are trying to revisit our policies. Again, we encourage research and technology. We are trying to capacitate the research institutions, technology dissemination, and also multi-dimensional extension quality. Again, we have also financial access problem. We are introducing inclusive finance through bank, microfinance, and lease financing. Those multiple efforts enable us to address the farmers to encourage technology.
Minister, already in Ethiopia, I'm sure that you will find interest in our broadcast. Thank you very much joining us from Addis Ababa. We'll be back to London now. Mr. Tony Blair, still with us. What business operation do you see now, opportunities in Africa?
So I think, Minister Reddy just touched on a crucial thing, which is, the problems are multidimensional. And one of the reasons why the type of dialogue that IMPROVATE is trying to promote, one of the reasons why it's so important is for Israeli technology to get an understanding of what the challenges are. And these can be anything from the types of things we were talking about in terms of yield and, getting produce to market and how technology will help with that, to, for example, there's been a particular problem in Ethiopia, obviously, with locusts, and how we deal with the problem of pests in relation to agricultural produce. So I think the opportunities are enormous. And one other thing I'd like to say and in a sense suggest is that I think it would be very good if, as part of the Israel-UAE cooperation, they also looked as two countries in partnership what they could do with Africa. Because obviously the Emiratis also have very strong links with Africa. They have major issues themselves around food security. All of these things allow us, if we do them in a sensible way, to, as I say, quicken the pace of development by using the best available technology. So I think there are great opportunities here. And I think one of the things that these dialogues are meant to do is to get to the stage where you actually then have very specific discussions around what are the problems and how can technology help address them.
Thank you very much again, Mr. Blair. We'll be talking to you later again. We will now talk with three leading Israeli companies that are active in developing solutions to ensure our food safety today and in the future. For over 50 years, Netafim has been the global leader in advanced agriculture sector, and Netafim provides innovative agriculture solution to millions of farmers focusing on saving water and resources. With us today is Elad Levy, Vice President for Africa and Middle East in Netafim. Elad, can you please tell us about the agriculture transformations that taking place in Africa?
Well, thank you, Danny. Thank you, Irina, and Honorable Minister, for having me here. I'm very excited. I would like to, in order to understand what we do, I would like to take you back to summer Jerusalem 2017. I had the privilege of meeting His Excellency Paul Kagame, the President of the Republic of Rwanda. We sat and talked for almost an hour on how to advance Rwanda's agricultural sector, which, as you can imagine, is a very noble mission and very high cause. What inspired me the most is that His Excellency translated his vision into very practical plan. He told us to create a national scale impact is a great challenge. And the way to make it happen is to set clear, achievable, and measurable targets. Following this meeting, and perhaps the most important factor that enabled it to happen, is that the government appointed a steering committee where all relevant cabinet members, ministers, and senior officials partnered together with Netafim to create the most suitable solution for the government's vision. We built together an innovative plan to irrigate over 15,000 hectares with a very unique business model. Imagine shared office spaces for rent. Everyone is familiar with this concept. But instead of offices, we build farming blocks. And how do we build it? The government invests in infrastructure, water infrastructure, energy infrastructure, roads, and whatever infrastructure that is needed. The execution partner, in this case Netafim, masters the design and the construction of the project. Private sector investors, multinational companies, lease the farming blocks and invest in in-field irrigation, processing plants, and export capabilities. And most importantly, the local community is fully engaged across the entire process. And as you can see from the drone footage taken only 2 days ago, the construction works is progressing in full steam ahead as we speak. And let me tell you something. This project will echo throughout the continent as we are doing remarkable things and remarkable achievements within our lifetime. we're going to achieve a commercially viable and sustainable agricultural ecosystem, an increase in export capabilities. We're going to achieve national food security, thousands of new jobs, and significantly better livelihoods.
How do you expand your skills and things to other areas in Africa?
Well, our partnership in Rwanda is one of many impactful activities we have carried out over the past few years. Netafim is currently implementing mega-scale projects in Rwanda, Gabon, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Morocco, South Africa, and many, many others. In this journey, we have developed a common practice of joining forces with governments, the private sector, and the local communities to fulfill our company's purpose to grow more with less. More yields, more returns, more production, in less time, less resources, and much less dependency on weather. Honestly, I'm extremely proud to be part of a company that is striving to support food security and sustainability in Africa and worldwide.
Netafim was started in a kibbutz.
In a kibbutz Hatzerim in 1965.
In the Negev. Yes,
It is
thank you.
based on Israeli innovation, right? We
Yeah,
were
yes.
speaking
One
about
of the
breakthrough
first.
innovations.
Yeah.
Thank you, Elad. Good luck. Now, again, Mr. Tony Blair, thank you. You are with us. What is your message, both Israeli and global companies, about the African market?
My message is very simple and clear.
Yeah.
This is a huge opportunity to use technology, the best-in-class technology, to help lives, to save lives, to change lives, to improve the quality of agriculture in Africa, to help Africa fulfill its potential as a major source of food, not just for Africans, but for the world, and allow development to happen in a sustainable way. So this is, we're talking about something that if we build on it properly, is transformative, groundbreaking, and will change the world for the better. And in my business, it doesn't get more hopeful than that.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. Now we will be talking about ICL. ICL is a global company and one of the leading industries in Israel, producing fertilizers, industrial products, and phosphate solution for the food industry. The company started in the early 1900s in the Dead Sea. They have more than 11,000 people, workers worldwide. Its revenue is $5.9 billion per year. Hillel Magon is the Vice President Agronomy at ICL. Hillel, can you tell us more about your help in supporting food security in Africa?
Thank you, Danny. The challenge of supporting and improving food security in Africa is immense. And there's no one silver bullet to answer it, but through very elaborative work. I will speak about fertilizers, which is a very major component in improving food security in Africa. And maybe another quick glance at ICL, and now on the fertilizer sector. We are a global company. Our sales of fertilizers are more than $2.5 billion. We have global presence. We have offices in Africa, in various countries of Africa. And we have more than 1,000 employees to provide with fertilizers to actually all plants that are grown on the planet, from rice, maize, wheat, all the way to the turf in Wimbledon football arena. So that's more or less us. But looking at Africa from the fertilizer lens, and on the left figure, you will see that, in fact, fertilizers have a critical role in feeding global population. Without synthetic or with man-made produced fertilizers, this world or this planet could have fed only about 4 billion people. We are now at 7.5. 3.5 are fed, or 50% are fed by fertilizers. Meeting the challenge of feeding 9 billion, most or so many from sub-Saharan Africa, requires simply more usage of fertilizers. That's not the only thing. But when we compare fertilizer consumption in Africa countries, and for example in Asia, that also have a huge, immense challenge to feed its people, we can see, regardless of GDP, at the bottom part of my figure, you will see the countries of Africa regardless of the GDP, are using much less fertilizers than Asian countries. And of course, Asian countries produce more food. So one part of the solution is to use more fertilizers. We look at fertilizer consumption globally through this data, which is compiled by international institutions. You will see that Africa presents actually 10% of the average used by globally, on average globally. You will see, of course, in China there is heavy use of fertilizers, but also in Egypt and in Europe, in North America, in Brazil. All these countries produce a lot of food, but in Africa, the amount of fertilizers applied is critically low. We are offering fertilizers, but we are also offering fertilization practices. It's not sufficient to provide the best technology of fertilizers and control-release fertilizers, for example, for the rice fields of Nigeria, and control-release fertilizers to potato in Kenya, and potash to South Africa. This is not enough. We are also putting a lot of emphasis in explaining the farmers and the dealers how to critically, wisely, profitably use these fertilizers in order to get more product, but also keep sustainable indicators. And I'm glad that this word has already been mentioned here. It's part of our portfolio, and we are, of course, responsible for all the practices and fertilizers that we provide. Our portfolio is vast. As I mentioned, we provide fertilizers to field crops, vegetables, plantations, greenhouse, nurseries, turf. In practice, there is no one crop in Africa that we don't have a solution in terms of the fertilizer. Our customers are the farmers. We have to see that this is a productive solution, that we get better quality, that it's a sustainable solution, and we're also providing agronomic guidance. There is the dealer in the chain. Fertilizers need the logistic chain to arrive to the field. We are also providing benefits to the dealer. But at the higher level, at the second tier, we see also beneficiaries of the food industry. We are looking at some of our products are with calculated reduced greenhouse gas. Some of our products are with lower carbon footprint. And we are all referring to fertilization as a sustainable practice. Some of our products specifically measured to reduce greenhouse gas, like, for example, our control-release fertilizers. So now it's a challenge to adapt every technological invention or solution to the right conditions, to the right crop, and to the right farmer. We do this through, you see here, for the last 20 years, we have been investing heavily in capacity building in sub-Saharan Africa. We have had students coming to Israel, to the Volcani Center. We have had people coming to, master students and PhD, coming to our Center for Fertilization and Plant Nutrition, together with a Volcani Institute in Israel. And we have been working in Ethiopia, in Kenya, in Uganda, Tanzania, Mozambique, North Africa, and we are also partnering in a large-scale cocoa soil project in West Africa. So this is another part. It's not just fertilizers, it's also fertilization practices. Agriculture is knowledge-intensive practice. Without enabling the people of Africa to master this knowledge, it will not work. So we are very proud to take significant part in that. Just a quick example in Mozambique to the change that one can assume, and this is maybe a reply to economists. In 1 year, in maize in Mozambique, we are able to increase yield by 8 times from what the farmer are using in 1 season. So that brings so much benefits to the farmer and to the surroundings. Another example, we have already for a few years project in Kenya with the Ministry of Agriculture Research Arm, in which we examine critically the amount of potash to be applied to various rice varieties. And then together we finalize or we fix the right point and then convert it into a fertilization recommendation to the farmer. Another example is from a large project that was done in Israel, the orphan crop cassava, that we know so little about its fertilization, but it feeds Africa. So a PhD student Dr. John Okot has completed his PhD here, and through his work, we are able to recommend nitrogen and potassium fertilization practices to some agroclimatic regions in Africa. We are very proud of this. In Tanzania, we have a joint project with the USAID where we won a project by them, the finance is by USAID, and we reach thousands of people in Tanzania in 2 selected regions where we educate people how to make best use of our water-soluble, foliar, and control-release fertilizers to make them simply get more money for what they produce in a sustainable way. Next generation of fertilization. Fertilizers are with us 150 years on this planet, but there is always room for more, and we are looking very much in organics and find the right solutions. We are looking at biostimulants, but we are also now entering a big way into the digital ag in order to develop more tools to reach many more farmers, which is a critical challenge, as well as to make use of the ample of data that we have, agronomic data that we have in the world. Through this, we are now preparing a global free-to-all fertilizer recommendation tool that any farmer in the world will be able to use it. Through that, we have set up already the AgroPro platform, which enables every farmer in the world to ask any question, and he will get a reply from an expert, free of charge, of course. And we are developing also the next generation tool regarding data analysis and agroinformatics. This is the challenge for us, through which we will be able for sure to make much better use of the fertilizers and to improve fertilization at large. Coming back to Africa, in Africa the challenge is complex. More fertilizers are needed. Not every fertilizer fits to every agroclimatic region or to any crop. This is our task to find the best solution together with national agronomic and commercial partners. It is also our duty to continue with the capacity building, and I'm sure that we will have a fantastic role in supporting various trends and projects in Africa to allow the farmer to produce more food, eventually leading to a better food security.
Thank you very much, Mr. Magen from ICL. We'll be back now to Mr. Blair in London. Something that you can say about this, your impression about this presentation.
Yeah, sure. Look, these 2 presentations show you exactly the enormous potential of this. So both Netafim and ICL, obviously substantial companies, but there are many, many more who can do amazing things in order to deal with the very problems that Africa faces. And although, these are problems that these solutions could work for anywhere in the world, in Africa, the urgency is there. And I think there are 2 things that I would say are really necessary to build on the potential of this initiative. The first is that governments themselves have to try and position the way that they work in order to attract the best technology and in order to make sure that when companies who often will be unfamiliar with Africa, Netafim and ICL obviously are, but other companies that are unfamiliar with Africa, when they come in, they're properly looked after, that they don't face difficult obstacles, but are able to make their investment there. That's one thing. And then the second thing, I think, is to make sure that we get the right partnership between the companies with the exciting technology, the governments, the international institutions that will often support initiatives like this, and private capital. And I think there will also be partners, private sector partners in country that themselves would benefit from these types of partnership. And, as I understand it, the thing that IMPROVATE is trying to do is to make all of those connections happen in the most effective way possible, because that's what in the end will allow people, the moment people see this working and realize the difference it can make, then you will create a kind of virtuous impulse, if you like, towards developing these partnerships even faster.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. Minister Shai, here in the studio, what can you say about those presentations?
You know, I was
very big firms in Israel.
Very big firms. You know, one of the interesting things within the Israeli high tech is that we are trying to build big, sustainable companies that will last for many years and will become worldwide leaders in their domains. It is very encouraging to see that in agriculture, in food technologies, we do have already that experience in place. We have these companies that have been around for many years and are still innovating, are still growing up and conquering more and more market segments, innovating new products, new technologies, new services. And this is wonderful to see. I think that we should be very proud. You know, as a Minister of Science and Technology, I'm proud to have seen these companies. I know that we have many more to come.
Yeah.
And this is just good news, you know, coming from the world that I spend most of my time in recent weeks. This is so much fun.
No question about politics. Nothing about politics today.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. For over 3 decades, LR Group has been operating worldwide in development, financing, construction, and management of large-scale projects, enabled to make the most from the land, natural resources. With us today here in the studio is Ami Lustig, CEO of LR Group. Ami, please.
Thank you, Danny. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Ami. I was born myself about 65 years ago, if nobody hears it, in a Moshav in the Valley of Israel. My parents were newcomers to Israel, and I got raised under the conviction that if you get a good piece of land, technology, and a market, you can make a living, a fair living, of being a farmer. We call it a middle-class farmer. This vision was taken to Africa. Our largest project in Africa, out of 100 projects we did in the continent, is in Angola. It's called Aldea Nova, the new villages, whereby we constructed 15 villages based on the Israeli model of the Moshav, whereby we are trying to provide the farmers with technology, access to markets, and inputs that will enable them to reach an income of around $1,000 per family per month, which is, to my opinion, the minimum level above which you become a middle-class farmer. LR Group is an integration company. We integrate technologies in rural development. We are working in agriculture, water, energy, health. What we do is actually, we try to think before we do, is we provide the feasibility study. It's very easy to make mistakes, especially in agriculture, if you select the wrong products and the wrong technology. So we do a feasibility study. Then we try to raise the financial facilitation for the project. This is a very challenging task since investing money in agriculture is not trivial. I will speak about some examples, but we are working with Israeli Ashra, which is the Israel ECA, Export Credit Agency, and we are using their help to finance projects all over the world. Once we secure the financing for the project, we are getting ahead with the construction, and then even more important is the operation. One thing we have to remember is that the operation, post-construction operation risk in agriculture is very high. Cows, they get diseases. Flocks, they are influenced by weather. So we have to keep supporting our project along the way. We have a history of supporting our projects for over 20 years. We become partners and we operate the projects. So the idea is to bring technologies from Israel to the world in all aspects. As you may very well know, and as it was mentioned here, Israel has a lot of technologies to offer in agriculture. Actually, last time we counted, there are 400 high-tech companies in Israel, all related to agriculture. We consider our task to take these technologies and integrate them into working projects. I'll give a few examples about this. We are working with all world's recognized banks and off-takers. For example, in Papua New Guinea, we are operating with ExxonMobil, where we are trying to provide the world's largest coffee plantation supported by ExxonMobil, and some other examples I can give you later on. We are spread all over the world. If I look at our impact records, we are speaking about $2.5 billion of agricultural projects on the ground, more than 100 projects. We triple the yield, and we are trying to 4 times increase the income per farmer. This is a project we are doing in the Congo DRC. We are trying to provide the necessary fresh food to Kinshasa, the capital of DRC. This is a project, again, we are doing in the Congo DRC in Lukalenge, which is in the middle of the country where fresh food is almost not available. We are working there. The villages in Africa and in Angola and in Congo DRC and in Congo Brazzaville, which are providing livelihood for 5,000 farmers. If we don't build villages, we are trying to build agro-industrial centers, which are providing the neighboring farmers with technology and inputs and processing their products. I will show you a film now that was taken in Papua New Guinea. This is an integrated dairy farm.
Ilimo Dairy is Papua New Guinea's first commercial dairy. The state-of-the-art farm is a partnership between the Central Province Government, Innovative Agro-Industry PNG, and the state. It represents a US $40 million investment in the development of a local dairy industry. Innovative Agro-Industry has a strong culture of delivery in PNG. With production underway 14 months after groundbreaking, the ambitious Grass to Glass project represents an important first step in curbing the high cost of fresh milk and other dairy imports to PNG. In the future, as more dairy farms are developed, the nutritional benefits of dairy products will become even more widely accessible to all Papua New Guineans. Prior to the arrival of Ilimo Dairy, all milk was imported, costing tens of millions in foreign exchange annually. A strong local dairy industry will reduce this burden on foreign exchange over time. Ilimo Dairy Farm has succeeded in providing the PNG consumer world-class quality milk and at the same time reducing the price of 1 litre of fresh milk by a 50% price slash. Our herd now numbers over 700 Holstein Friesians, of which 500 were originally imported from New Zealand. The cows are monitored using high-tech, state-of-the-art technology to best manage herd health and calving cycles. 110 hectares of stock feed is grown on-site, and all feed is processed on-site. Our cows are fed the best feed and watered with human-grade drinking water drawn from a nearby river and treated on-site. The dairy farm practices ethically, environmentally friendly farming, adhering to industry's best practices that include waste management systems that turn cow waste to fertilizers used in our cropping, and an on-site solar farm to increase operating and environmental efficiencies. Ilimo Dairy has created 200 new jobs and outgrower opportunities for local farmers. Farmers grow maize for cow feed with seeds, other inputs and training support provided by the dairy. The long-term goal is to transition local outgrowers from subsistence farming to cash cropping, creating an holistic environment of food security and economic benefits.
By providing this program to the subsistence farmers, they're taking on board a new economic activity where they are going to be earning money directly.
World-class processing, packaging and distribution facilities that adhere to industry's best practices on quality and food safety are also on site, adding the final element to the grass-to-glass model that delivers affordable fresh milk to Papua New Guineans. Ilimo milk has been overwhelmingly well received by the PNG consumer, with demand skyrocketing. It is, after all, real milk, real local.
Thank you, Ilimo!
So quite impressive, I think. We continue to hold 50% of this dairy farm and dairy processing operation, and we are intending to hold it for a very long time, supporting the people of Papua New Guinea and providing them additional agro-industrial operations. The last thing I want to mention, one of the last things I want to mention is the cacao opportunity. We had used Israeli technology, fertigation, and precise agriculture to increase the yield of cacao plantations from 0.5 ton per hectare to 3 tons. It's 6 times. More than that, we have initiated a technology that will utilize more than almost 30% of the cacao pod instead of the 10% utilized by the current technologies. We are producing beans and pulp and gluten-free flour from the cacao pods, and thus, with the increase of yield, can provide additional income per farmers. What we do is we open an agro-industrial center for cacao in the middle of existing plantations. We can pay the farmers more for the pods because we utilize 3 times the yield of the cacao. While doing it, we are providing them with drip irrigation and fertigation technologies to increase their own yield. We have this project in Ecuador and Nicaragua, and we are now embarking a few projects in Africa under the same technology. This is the initiation we are doing with ExxonMobil, which is going to be the biggest coffee plantation in Papua New Guinea, providing work for almost 12,000 people, whereby each farmer is getting 1 hectare of land and 1,500 seedlings to plant of coffee. We will offtake the coffee from the farmer and process it and market it around the world. That shows you the methodology under which we are alleviating the farmers' way of living. The last project we have is in the Philippines. I wanted to show you. It's using Israeli technology to irrigate the rice fields. As you may very well know, rice fields can yield 2 times a year. The problem is that with the global warming, we don't have enough water in the dry season. We've implemented solar panels and accurate agriculture and fertigation. We are going to provide in over 6,400 locations that will irrigate and flood the rice fields during the dry season. In the dry season, you have sun. The sun will be used to take water from the river and flood the fields, and that's a perfect solution to double the yield. Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you, Ami Lustig from LR Group. We would like to welcome now in the studio Mr. Masima, Ambassador of the United Republic of Tanzania, here with us. Thank you for joining us. And also, of course, Mrs. Nevzlin, Mr. Masima, something about your country, beautiful country, of course, great landscape and nature. You are here in this job for a few years already. What can you say about Tanzania? What are the challenges in this food security?
Yeah, the challenges generally, first let me thank you for inviting me here at this Titanic studio. It has been an honor for me to attend this one. And on behalf of my fellow Tanzanians, whom I'm sure they are watching wherever they are, or they are following up with this link, they'll benefit from the presentation which has been since morning. We've been getting from various speakers. Coming back to your question, Tanzania, of course, is having a number of challenges on agriculture. My minister, when I was talking this morning with my minister, is the one who come with the clear challenges with Tanzania. But in my case, I'll try to advise and to try to convince or to explain why in Tanzania it's very conducive for you to do whatever you want to do. Tanzania, first of whether is trade or investment, the climate is excellent for Tanzania, environmentally and politically. That's excellent. Second is that politically we are stable. As of now, we are going to election. Everything is perfect. I can't compare with other countries, or I can't name countries, but generally, to the scale of the world, we are politically stable. But above all, our economy is doing very well. Before the corona, the economic growth stood at 7%. And out of 10 countries in the world, with the fastest growing economies, 5 were from Africa, and Tanzania is among those 5. So come to Tanzania.
With a lot of tourists from Israel also.
Yes, we'll come to that one. So the economic growth of 7% is a very attractive view. But the control of inflation is very, very controlled at the 3.5%. So these are the things which can attract whoever is interested to come to Tanzania. But above all, Tanzania, as big as it is, with so many neighboring countries, about 8 of them. So you are linked to a number of countries within Tanzania when you come to Tanzania alone. So that is another advantage. But the biggest one is that we are a member of 2 regional economic blocs. That is the SADC, the South African Development Cooperation, and the East African Cooperation, which collectively you have a population of about 450 people. So that's good.
Ambassador Massima, I want to go back again to London to Mr. Tony Blair. You know, Mr. Blair, a lot of companies are watching us, so you know very good Africa. If you can point on one thing, what Africa needs the most, which technology, which thing, for the future, of course?
Well, Africa needs technology in every aspect of its development. I mean, I think agriculture stands out because of the huge potential, the opportunity for expansion, the necessity of food security and the ability to feed its people. So I think agriculture stands out. But just to make 2 final points to you, and the ambassador was touching on this just a moment ago. First, there's a much more welcome environment for business today in Africa. And, you know, there's also some very good technology companies operating in Africa. If you look at financial payments, for example, in Kenya, they're probably ahead of most of the world in financial payments. And all across Africa, there are technology companies themselves springing up. So it's you know, you're not going into an area where people are unfamiliar with technology, even though obviously there's a lot that Israel can do. But secondly, and I make this as my final point, I think the most important thing is to find ways of getting government and business to coordinate together so that the opportunities can be properly explained, and so that both government on the one side and the technology companies on the other feel that they're in dialogue. And you know, one of the things that I constantly say is that in a world in which everything is going to be changed by technology, the single most important thing is that the people who are changing the world through technology and the people charged with governing the world, the policymakers, in other words, the change makers and the policymakers, they have to be in dialogue together. And that's one of the reasons why this conference is important.
Mr. Blair, thank you again. It was a great honor to have you with us. Thank you, Mr. Blair.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Now we must say that IMPROVATE will connect the companies to the minister bureaus to enable direct dialogue. Now with us, Mr. Mukuta, he's the Minister of Agriculture in the Republic of Congo. Also with us, hello Mr. Mukuta, also with us, Nurit Ben, who will help us in translation. Mr. Mukuta, I will ask in English, what are the most important challenges in the field of food security in Congo? Nurit, please.
Quel est le plus grand défi auquel vous êtes actuellement confronté en matière de sécurité alimentaire?
Merci beaucoup. Je salue tous les participants.
Thank you very much. I say hello to all the participants.
Nous sommes confrontés à
We are confronted with feeding our entire population. Before we were dealing with mines, right now we want to deal with feeding the population. Our country has everything that is needed to do this. We're a very large country. with 80 million people.
C'est énorme. Donc, nous
It's enormous. So we really want now to launch the agriculture industry to feed our population, and afterwards to be able to export.
Notre pays étant à cheval de l'équateur, nous pouvons faire toutes les cultures qui existent.
Our country is near the equator. We can do all the kind of agriculture that exists. So our challenge right now, first of all, is to feed our own population.
So I want to ask Minister Mokuta, what are the Congolese government and your ministry is doing to deal with the challenges that we have spoken about? Please.
Alors, que fait le gouvernement congolais pour résoudre le problème que vous venez de décrire et votre ministre?
Nous avons lancé un programme de 4 milliards 400 millions de dollars.
We launched a program of $4.4 billion to be able to mechanize agriculture and take this project in our hands. We wanted to open all of the territory for coffee, for cacao. And of course, the agriculture, the more basic kinds, like wheat and rice, to feed the population.
Minister Kasonga Mokuta from Congo, thank you very much for joining us. I'm sure that you will find interest in the broadcast and in the companies that we will present in the next few minutes.
Merci beaucoup d'avoir nous joindre et j'imagine que vous allez être intéressé dans les compagnies que nous allons présenter ici.
Thank you, Mr. Mokuta.
I just wanted to say that I'm very excited. You said something in the very beginning that we are focused usually on a lot of negative, and just being here and learning so much about the technologies and understanding the potential. I mean, I learned over the last hour more than I learned in a long time. So I think there is much hope, and I'm very happy to be here.
Ambassador Mazima from Tanzania here
yes,
in the studio. What is Africa, if you can say one or two or three things that Africa is looking for, or Tanzania, from companies to do? What kind of solutions? What is the most urgent things?
The biggest problem which confronts Africa is industrial backwardness and the technological backwardness. That is the biggest problem. What does that mean? Africa, we are the main source of raw material to other world. If we could go to figures, for instance, last year, we exported the export value of the crops we exported from Africa, it was around 413 billion US dollars. But we could find that the importation, the things we imported in Africa, the value was 523 billion in Africa. So we could find that we are exporting. We are the biggest exporter and the biggest importer of finished goods and the services, which is good. So we needed to go to industry, that one.
Yeah, Mr. Blaise said that it is much more simple these days to do business with Africa.
Yeah.
Or with Tanzania.
Yes, please. Of course, it is very simple because of the technology, but we are still far ahead from that one. We need to go to that because even if you come to our farm products to the world market, I would take an example in Tanzania. If we want to buy just a single tractor, you need crops not less than 10 tons of cotton or coffee, whatever. So that's why I say the problem is still with the industrial backwardness. We need to solve this one. All the conducive environments are there. Now come there and help us so that in Africa we could produce, we could consume, we could export finished goods rather than the way we are doing it now. We are exporting raw material. And when you export this raw material, what does it mean to us? You're exporting jobs.
Yes,
and in a way, you're importing problems from those countries which are doing that one. So please, let's do this one. I think it's high time for Africa to make sure that we produce our cotton. Our cotton, we produce it to the end garments which we want. If it comes to minerals, we do whatever from extraction. up to the end product. That's what is more important. In this regard, I recall the very important call which came out from one of the presidents of Africa, that we need to produce what we consume and consume what we are producing.
Ambassador Masimba, you're staying with us because we want to talk now about the next firm develops and produces fermentation derived degrees technology requires the least amount of land, water and electricity. Next Farm's alternative protein will support vegan food. With us, Next Firm CEO and founder Boaz Noy. Shalom, Boaz.
Shalom. Thank you very much, Danny. In this short presentation, I would like to speak about why the world must go vegan in order to feed the world in the future, and how protein, a vegan protein we have developed, can support this big shift. So there's a huge global challenge, feeding 10 billion people by 2050. I would say that protein demands is in a grow, the same as world population. Animal alternative industry is responsible today for 15% of greenhouse gas. The conclusion is simple. We must change our diet. We must consume more vegan protein in order to enable food for the future. So there are good news. The world is changing. Protein alternatives are the most important and most growing segment in the food area. $20 billion of sales per year with 10% growth. Between Impossible Food and Beyond Meat, protein alternatives are all over the place. So what is the problem? Actually, plant-based protein have serious challenges. Their amino acid composition is inferior, meaning we have to eat more to get the same functionality. Many of the sources are having problematic flavor and taste, which influence the final products. And few of them are related to allergens and impurities, bad reputation. So these are the exact reasons why we have developed Protein, a yeast-derived vegan protein that have an amino acid composition mimicking in an optimal way animal-derived protein being produced in a sustainable way, neutral taste, no allergen and no impurities. In other words, Protein provides more value to consumers, more value to food companies, and more value to the environment. By using our unique fermentation and downstream processing, we have a very efficient process to produce protein. By using mulasa, which is actually leftover from sugar industry, we came into a super sustainable production. So where are we now? Currently, we are being evaluated by global food leaders. At the end of the year, we will scale up the product, and until 2021, we launch it in the market. So just to summarize, Protein is the first vegan protein with animal-like nutritional value and neutral taste. Our target is to turn Protein into the ultimate protein alternative. Thank you very much.
Now joining us from Kenya is Professor Hamadi Idiboga, Secretary of the State Department for Crop Development and Agriculture Research. Hello, Professor.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
How much? Yeah, please.
Go ahead.
How much Kenya is using advanced agriculture technologies?
Yeah, thank you very much. Kenya is a leader in technology, especially in the area of ICT. If you are familiar with the M-Pesa, this is the mobile money transfer. I think it became very popular in Kenya, and it has opened up access to ICT across the country to the extent that other sectors, apart from the financial sectors, have joined in. The Ministry of Agriculture, we are operating on a 10-year strategy called the Agriculture Sector Transformation and Growth Strategy. And inside there's a pillar on digitization, which we have unpacked, and we have embraced digitization in agriculture. So like our extension system. Right now, we are using mobile extension system, including USSD platform. We have partnered with the World Bank to set up a big data platform where we also provide not only extension information, but also agro-weather information. So most farmers right now have an agro-weather app to guide their decision-making around farming. In addition to that, 25% of the mobile applications that are in agriculture, they're in Kenya, for Africa, for that matter. And the private sector is a leader in this area, providing extension, providing financial services, providing access to markets, providing other forms of advice, pest information, and things like that. So most farmers have embraced this, and the government is very supportive of this kind of sector. Apart from that, working with Israel, of course, we train 100 youth every year on Israeli technology, and they come and domesticate, like the drip irrigation driven by solar power. We are embracing that, and of course, the use of greenhouses. The Israeli companies are big here. Amiran is just one in mind, and we use their technologies a lot across the country. We've also been exploring some technology, the fruit fly traps, to trap fruit flies, because that's a major problem in the fruit producing areas. So Kenya is a leader in technology, and the partnership with Israel is helping us in getting ahead in this area. And our strategy is fully digital. And as we move forward, we will continue to embrace digitization of agriculture and embracing new technologies.
So we will try to come back to Professor Boga in Kenya in the next minutes. So now we will be talking about AgroScout, bringing the finest Israeli agronomy to every farmer and every planet on the globe, 1 billion hectares, supporting food security. Take a look.
See how quick and easy it is to use AgroScout's field scouting technology. Open the app and select the target area you wish to scout. Then press Start. The app loads the selected flight plan, and the drone switches to autopilot and scans the field. In just 20 minutes, the drone can cover about 50 acres. Skimming over the plants, the drone captures high-resolution images of disease and pest footprints, such as blight in this example. Once the drone lands, the image data is uploaded to the cloud for detection and analysis. Leveraging visual recognition, big data, and artificial intelligence, the AgroScout algorithm filters out abnormalities and matches them to its disease and pest image database. After professional evaluation, a report of infected locations with GPS-tagged images is sent to the grower's phone or handheld device. AgroScout. Detection done right. Go to agro-scout.com and start saving today.
So here with us is Simcha Shor, CEO of AgroScout. Please tell us more about your technology.
Thank you for having me. Great honor and pleasure.
Thank you.
Our technology is about bringing this technology to every farmer. We've developed amazing things in ag tech and science over the last 2 decades. But again, the 500 million farmers of the world, a lot of them in Africa, don't have access to that. It's too expensive, it's too big. Our technology is built in a way that can be accessible to any farmer, anywhere. That's how we built our software based on smartphones and small commercial drones. The prices are going down dramatically. It's $1,000. This could be enough for an area of hundreds of hectares. The phone, every small farmer today has a phone. And it's about bringing plant doctors or agronomy, the finest agronomy, to every plant on the planet.
What will be the farmer or grower benefit?
Today, the farmers lose 20 to 40% of their crop every year. At a time that we've been talking about growing more food and food sustainability, we're losing so much. Today, a farmer that has the technology, that has access to agronomy, can grow twice as much than that farmer somewhere in Africa or North America, in Israel, that doesn't have access to that. It's about having more food out of each hectare.
Where do you see Agroscout 5 years from now?
The largest agronomy service in the world, serving as many of those 500 farmers. Just the way Waze gives everyone the way in the world, or Uber allows anyone to go anywhere, this will be the plant doctor to every farmer in the world, helping them grow more.
Good luck, Mr. Shaw. Did you want to say something about this?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm impressed with the technology.
Thank you, sir.
Good, sure.
Thank you. So now we'll be back to Professor Boga from Kenya. You were in the middle of your words. Can you say it again, please?
We have this cooperation with Israel where we take 100 students every year to Israel to learn these new technologies and bring them back. We want to extend that program with the embassy so that we support those young farmers when they come back to domesticate the knowledge by providing them with financial services and also further support through advisories from Israeli experts to make sure that they don't forget what they learned, instead they put it into practice. Also, we want to set up technology centers working with the state of Israel, like 3 or 4 technology centers demonstrating different kind of technology, especially farming in water scarce areas, because a large part of the country is water scarce.
Professor Boga, are you working to promote technologies among the small holdings in order to reduce dependence on imported food?
Yeah, a majority of our farmers are smallholder. Actually, all our programs are targeting smallholders. The large-scale farmers usually have access to technologies. So right now, working with the different development partners, and also the civil society, and also our regional governments, these are the county governments, we have a program where we introduce seeds, we introduce the use of fertilizer, we introduce the use of agro-weather information. We have an SMS service to reach these smallholder farmers with the major objective of increasing their incomes, because most of the time they struggle acquiring new information, but all our system is designed towards smallholder farmers so that we can increase their income by increasing yields and by diversifying the crops that they grow.
Minister Hamadi Idi Boga from Kenya, thank you for your words. Let's hope for better days. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Milky provides a complete solution for dairy farms and processing units in Africa. All knowledge and all technologies are Israeli made. The company supplies greenhouses for growing vegetables and flowers all over the continent. The company is based in Nairobi, Kenya, for the last 10 years. With us today is Dor Moran, founder and CEO of Milky. Before we speak, let's take a look. Mr. Moran, thank you again for joining us from Milky. So I understood it's something with milk.
Absolutely.
What kind of technology do you supply in Africa?
Milky provide a complete solution, grass to glass, we call it, from the grass to the glass in Africa. So the company exists in Africa for the last 10 years' time. We use technologies from Siemens, coming from Sion, Israeli company, and SCR, herd management, milk management, health management for your cows, as well nutrition. So all our base is around the Israeli technology, around the Israeli dairy method. And we implement it in Africa, in Kenya mainly, according to the needs of the locals.
And how will these technologies help to increase food productivity?
First of all, we detect more health issues. So we have any problem with the cows, we found it early. We bring semen that basically create higher yield cows. So if Kenya and Tanzania, they're using, let's say, 5 liters per day, in Israel, we're using 40 liters per day per each cow. And by using this kind of semen, by monitoring by our technologies, we want to take, and we are doing it, taking the milk production up.
Ambassador Masima, what do you think so far about the presentations?
It's good, but the problem is that once you come to milk production, it's a long process. And there are various products for milk, cheese, milk, yogurt, and whatever. Which area in particular are we more interested that the product of it will be higher than the normal one?
First of all, you need to start to feed the cows.
Okay.
And you need to start to use proper semen. When I say proper semen, each semen is different kind of technology. In Israel, we're using very high yield cows. So, you know, how cows giving 40, 44 liters, I'll say, per, if you're using the same kind of semen and you inseminate your cows and you let them eat what they need and you monitor them, you'll be in the same situation as Israel in 5 years' time.
So the rest of the programs will be constant?
Later on.
Okay.
First of all, we need to look after the milk. We need to create more milk. Population is growing. We need to have more milk. Then we can process it.
Mr. Mar, you said that in Africa they're using 5 liters of milk. In Israel, 40 liters. Why such a big difference?
Look, in Africa, most of the milk is homemade. So people growing the cows at home, let them eat whatever they have, and whatever they milk by hand, this is what they get. When in Israel, it's industrial. They have a dairy farm, and with all the technologies, all the knowledge, with proper nutrition, and also proper genetics. So it's not a miracle. So if they will copy-paste, and we've done it in this kind of farm, what we see now in the movie, we've done it. They start from 5. Today, they're, I think, around 30 liters.
20. We have
30.
20 to 30.
We have now one farm in Nakuru, Kenya, that he reached to 40 liters average per head, same as in Israel. Take him 6 years, and he reached.
How much it takes to change it?
I will say it's 6 years' time.
6 years?
Yeah, you start from 5, so you need to change the whole herd. So we have like one farm, Brookside, today. They want to go and to bring cows from Israel, to take the cows from here, bring it into Kenya to start to have proper breed from the beginning. But this takes time. This is something that you need to look for 6 years' time, 10 years' time.
This is also another type of cows.
Basically, the type is the same, Friesian Holstein, so we don't have the different variety of cow. But the different is what we're using is different genetics.
Mr. Moran, thank you very much from Milky. Joining us in the studio is Ayala Whitner, CEO of Africa Israel Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for joining us. I'll ask you, how can Israeli companies can help Africa? I know this is a big question, but
so I
what
think
can you say about it?
One thing is to adjust the needs of the countries to what the Israeli company have to offer. For example, if it is irrigation, if it is drought. In Israel is a nation startup, and there is lots of Israeli company, more than 500 companies, that can help and assist Africa together and share the knowledge also with African partner.
This is a big amount of companies dealing with Africa. And there is much more to do, I think, in the future.
Yes, there is much more to do. You know, We know around 2015, half of the population of the world, the young population, will be in Africa. So there is very strong power of young, and I sure that the Israeli company can teach and can train them how to work in Africa.
Now we have this new peace agreement with the UAE and Bahrain. Do you think it will influence businesses between Israel and Africa, like, I know, Sudan, I don't know?
Yes, I'm sure of it, because Israel is a startup nation, and we have lots of knowledge from irrigation, drone, energy. So I'm sure that this country also will seek for the Israeli knowledge.
Ambassador Masema, Israel and Tanzania are big friends for decades, but you think that something will be changed because of those peace agreements?
I don't think, because initially I was saying that the Middle East, if we to come to the terms that we are now here, is going to be one of the regions to reckon with. Now we have reached to that point. But the question is, we praise you for that and congratulate you for the achievement which you have reached, but is it going to be to the expense of Africa? Because the concentration now seems to be moving to the Middle East and forgetting about Africa.
No.
Is it going to be to the expense of Africa?
No, Africa, she's very close to us. You know, in Tanzania, חברת נטפים, irrigation company, Israeli irrigation company, start her activity in Tanzania. So we are a good friend, lots of years, so I'm sure that we'll not forget you are in my heart, in our hearts. Africa is in our hearts.
Thank you very much. Dr. Whitner, please stay with us. We want to go to the next thing. Bermad is a leading Israeli company in global water market that develops, manufactures and markets advanced solution for flow control. With us here now, Iftach Einav, Irrigation Business Unit Manager at Bermad. Hello, Iftach. How does Bermad's name relate to food security?
Okay, I'll be happy to say. Bermad is actually a combination of the word berez, in Hebrew is valve, and mad mayim, which is a water meter. And it was invented during the 60s in order to allow farmers to not to go at night to the fields, because it was dangerous next to the borders. Many places were people injured. So Bermad is actually combined this first automation solution in irrigation.
And something about your firm, what are you doing?
I'm coming from many years in the technical side. In the past 10 years, I'm leading the irrigation business of Bermad globally. I'm living in the north of Israel.
So let's see your presentation.
Thank you. Okay. So Bermad, as we said, is by name representing food security. About 55 years ago, Bermad invented the first automation in irrigation. To prevent security risk involved with going to shut the water at night or late in the evening next to borders which were dangerous. The automatic metering valve is actually shutting itself after supplying a preset water quantity, and this way closes automatically and we don't have to close it. Also, we are focusing from beginning to irrigate by volume, by water quantities, and not by time. And this is helping us to match better the specific needs of each crop, to monitor leakages and also cloggings in the irrigation laterals, to have a reduced water and chemical amount that is seeping to the aquifers, saving energy and saving water and fertilizer. So all this in three ways, in three words. It is about maintaining the design specifications. Bermad today is a recognized pioneer and established leader, world leader. We are expert in water flow management, We are designing, manufacturing, and supplying products and solutions to enhance and protect systems, water systems in irrigation and also in water supply systems. Bermad Worldwide is containing 12 global subsidiaries and more than 85 countries. We have distributors. We have standout products with committed professional team behind it, and this is the secret of our success. So we have global reach and also presence, local presence, and long-term relationship. We present to be single focal point for all your automation needs. This is where we are looking for. We have an approach of integrated irrigation solution that allows us actually to support all the time, all the stages of design and building a project, and it doesn't matter in what stage. So we offer our help to synchronize all stages in project, everything that meets your automation needs and challenges. Let's see a short movie about one of our projects in Peru.
Distribution of running water to far-off agriculture communities is of great humanitarian importance. In order to do that, international cooperation is required in planning and implementation of international-scale solutions. This is exactly the story of the Almost project in Peru, a mega project diverting water from the Huancabamba River, which flows into the Pacific Ocean. A canals and tunnel systems, 20 kilometers long, was built, reaching a reservoir with a volume of 790,000 cubic meters, located in the heart of the agriculture area. About 380,000 dunams owned by local administration and further 50,000 dunams owned by local agricultural communities are situated along the route of the project. The large agriculture area is divided into 19 subzones of 5,000 dunams each, watered by 97 center pivot irrigation machines. The total capacity of this project is 34,000 cubic meters per hour, approximately half of the Israeli national carrier capacity. In projects of this scale, potential fault scenarios are examined. What happens in a power failure? How to deal with pressure and flow fluctuation of the various irrigation system, protection of the mainline from water hammer and surge, and if possible, preventing surge phenomena. After a comprehensive analysis, including hydraulic simulation, control and hydraulic solution were specified. Control valves regulating pressure and flow, required air valves, and water meter. In order to provide the system complete protection and reliability, dual pressure reducing stations were installed on the main lines, including double chamber valves that provides immediate and reliable response. At the inlet to each center pivot irrigation machine, water meters and control valves were installed that can be remotely controlled according to the different irrigation programs. The project is the result of collaboration with Netafim Drip Irrigation Company, which designed and executed the project, Valmont Industries, which supplied the center pivot irrigation system, and Bermad, which designed and supplied unique automatic hydraulic solution for this project. Since 2015, this project has been operating with great success. Additional agriculture areas has been connected with pipelines and automation accessories that ensure accurate and reliable water supply for irrigation.
So we are not staying in one place with regards to technology. Our standard products are now getting smarter. Now our products are going online, making them smarter, granting them with IoT capabilities, connecting them to the cloud, and even looking for the next stage of big data analytics. So we are committed to keep moving forward and innovating with you and we're for you. And thank you very much for this time.
Thank you, Iftach,
thank you,
from
Danny.
Bermad, and good luck. Now, still in the studio, Ambassador Masima from Tanzania. You are based in Israel and exposed to Israeli technologies. How much do you see additional Israeli companies getting involved in Tanzania or maybe in Africa?
Oh yeah, of course, the chances are there. Since we did open the embassy here, we've had a number of workshops which took place in Tanzania and one which took place here in Israel. So the doors have been so much open for the Israeli companies to come to Tanzania, and I'm glad that they are getting through, they're coming in. I can't have the number or to name all those companies which are already there, but Neftafin is one of those who has been in Tanzania. Dr. Ayala here, as she correctly pointed out, from the Israel Africa Chamber of Business, she has been in Tanzania as well with a group of business people. So really, Israel is also not coming to Africa alone, but is coming to Africa.
We're waiting to do it again after this Corona days, you know.
Yes, Corona day, but in Tanzania, whether with or without Corona, you're most welcome.
A word about these days, how much the COVID pandemic influenced Tanzania or Africa?
In Tanzania, no influence at all. No influence at all. We are not, since, of course...
How can you explain it?
Yeah, because the university, all the schools, from kindergarten to universities, are open. And no cases has been reported. Meetings are going on. Soccer matches and other sports activities are going on. What we did is and of course, I can't say that it can apply to Israel, but one of the things which we did, we moved to the local remedies. Of course, here you have technological, which you can go to sauna and whatever. But in our case, we're doing that one. But the big thing here in Israel is for us, Christian, and the other religions, we believe something is a holy land. You need to believe in God and to pray for Him. Without that one, Israel are going to suffer for that.
And we'll say Amen.
Yes, sure,
Ambassador Masima, please stay with us to see our next presentation. Next company, Alphabet Planners, one of the Israelis' leading planning and design companies, is known for its design, creativity, and engineering expertise. With us is Kobi Bogin, CEO of Alphabet Planners, and Ronen Feigenbaum, civil engineer, livestock and farm building, who will tell us more about Alphabet's operations.
Hi, Danny. Hi, everybody. And we are, as you say, a design engineering firm, and our mission to reduce the gap between the African rural area to the Western rural area. And my friend Ronen will present now our ability.
We are, as a former architectural and engineering department of the kibbutz movement, we have a unique experience and unique expertise on planning and designing not only villages, but also designing vertical integrations of several agriculture activities such dairy farms, greenhouses, including packing houses, slaughtering houses, poultry, vertical integrations, and also feed mills, slaughterhouse, meat products, etc. In general, we can say that we also design not just the agriculture part, but also the post-harvesting part. This is the way that we really think that rural development needs to be done. We are designing regional master plans that will allocate all these components and also the connection between them, the infrastructure that connects between them, meaning water supply, power supply, and communications. We have also a wide range of designing farms and many types of farms, and also greenhouses, as I said, poultry, dairy farms is our leading experience. and a rural development project that we did in Venezuela, La Ruana. We did just, according to the next slide, as you can see, was established in 7,000 hectares plot, with including a new village of 500 residential units. A master plan was designed for all the components that you can see here, that includes not just the dairy farm, but also the milk processing plant, a poultry, and a compost plant, feed mill, logistics centers, etc. And this is one of the examples that we can offer to you. We offer a range of services of planning, designing farms as not just dairy farms, but also poultry and eggs and meat, greenhouses, cattle beef, and their support facilities for also for crops farms. We have a worldwide expertise, especially on dairy farms. We, as you can see, you have seen in previous presentation of other companies from Israel, like the dairy farm done in Papua New Guinea was designed by us. The project in Wako Congo for 15 villages was also done by us. And also in Congo Brazzaville, that we will see later on an example. Dairy farming in Israel, we have the highest technology and the highest production for dairy farm for the cows here in Israel. The production per cow, it's about 12,000 liters per cow per year. And we are offering not just the design, but also that it's based on the technologies, also the technologies, the latest technologies, to bring a higher production for the cow in our farms. It will improve milk productivity and also quality and hygiene parameters, and as I said, also enhance the milk products that will be at the market with the very good raw materials, very good milk quality. You can produce also the premium products for the local market or even for export. This is one of the our projects done in South Africa near Cape Town, based, as I said, in Israeli technology. It's housing now 2,000 cows. As I said, we have a very high experience on processing plants, packing houses and cooling houses for several or many kinds of crops, either field crops or orchard crops. Greenhouses and logistics centers is one of the objects or projects that we can offer. We have a vast experience on those also, coming actually from water and land to the product in the supermarket. We believe that the post-harvesting is one of the key issues in order to add value to the crops in the fields. This added value will improve the standard of living, will enhance the standard of living of the villages, and also supply a lot of jobs in the vicinity. This is one of our projects that you can see 6 villages that were done in Congo, Brazil. You can see in the layout, where this is based on the Moshav model in Israeli Moshav model. And we have a house, and in the backyard a large parcel, and each family can grow whatever they want, vegetables or other crops, and also some building or shed or whatever for the livestock or greenhouses as well. All these products we will come to the logistics center and the post-harvesting, and then market it to the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kobi and Ronen. Will be continued. Let's watch a few words from Mr. Jonathan Bialosuka Wata. He is the Minister of Fisheries and Livestock in Congo, who was kind enough to answer a few questions.
What is the biggest challenge that you're confronted with in the fishing sector in the Democratic Republic of Congo? Thank you for the question and for the opportunity to speak on issues of fishing in my country. First of all, let me say that the Congo is a country that has plenty of potential in this domain, with its diverse rivers, lakes, and its ecology. Congo today has all the foundations to develop fishing capable of feeding the Congolese and limiting imports. The challenges we have are in funding. We haven't had many investors in this country in the areas of fishing and breeding to transform these natural resources that God gave us, to transform them to wealth that the Congolese can benefit from. With everything we have that has not yet been exploited, that is really in its initial stages, it necessitates a lot of funding. And for that, we need investors to boost this sector, and even to diversify the economy of our country, which is today based on the export of minerals. We could start exporting agricultural products stemming from our natural resources. So more than anything, we have a funding challenge. Partners in technology and funding who want to come invest in this country are welcome. That is what we can ask at this stage of our Congolese compatriots and backers, to take an interest in this vital sector, especially now that we will cross or are now crossing the period after COVID-19. There is a food crisis on the horizon, and every country must organize itself in the face of this crisis. A food crisis can only be faced through investment in sectors of production, notably fishing. How could Israeli technology be useful in your sector? To our friends in Israel, we say you are welcome, and we are ready to welcome them. They have nothing to worry about. The President of the Republic, who made the fishing sector a priority, is in the midst of orienting us, of encouraging us to look for investors in this sector. He himself, by the way, on all his visits, he repeats, there is a tendency to see the Congolese in another way. But upon arriving in the land, you will understand there's a climate for business that is healthier and favorable for investment.
Thank you, Mr. Wata, and thank you again, Norit, for the translation. I would like to invite you to watch a presentation by Bioefficiency, which develops aquaculture solutions. Welcome and hello to Bioefficiency CEO, Eli Shibi. Eli, please tell us what is special about your solutions.
Hello, everyone. I'm pleased to be here and quite excited to share with you a smart, simple way to provide prosperity and healthy food through sustainable aquaculture. My name is Eli Shibi, and I'm the CEO of Bioefficiency, an exciting company in an exciting market, and needless to say, in exciting times. Bioefficiency develops and provides advanced systems for sustainable land-based aquaculture. We believe in developing simple systems to provide better water for better fish. The reason why all of us are here today is to find ways to provide affordable, fresh, and healthy food. While fish is an excellent source of protein, it is also a risky product. Buying it at source guarantees food security. When one thinks of providing large amount of fish, let's say 1,500 tons a year, in an organized and controlled manner, there are mainly two ways to do it. The first one is to establish a highly industrialized factory that requires high investment and depends on very stable supply of electricity and liquid oxygen. It also needs a complex storage and transportation systems. This is an excellent option, but not necessarily fits the rural areas of Africa. The other option, which we present here, is to build a distributed fish farm, much simpler to build and maintain. It provides the same capacity with almost no risk. More importantly, it prompts rural development and food security through sustainable aquaculture. The idea is very simple: a central farm surrounded by anything between 50 to 100 satellite farms. The central farm is the heart and the engine of the entire system. It provides everything the satellite farms needs: fish food, fingerlings, technical support, training, veterinary support, and guidance. The central farm is a great opportunity for private entrepreneur, preferably with an existing fish farm. This could also be a solution to existing farms that are owned by the state and are not very successful. Such a farm can make a twist by becoming a central farm and support satellite farms around it. In terms of location, the central farm should be within a few hours' drive from each satellite farm. What bioefficiency provides here? We provide a complete kit, including everything from water tanks to filters, pipes, electricity panel, greenhouse, aerators, and accessories, even a fish farm management application. The system is very simple to install. It only takes a few days, and it is operational immediately after installation. And most important, remember I told you when we believe in simplicity? The satellite farm is very simple to operate. We provide a complete package of training and guidance to make it even more accessible. Let's talk about the satellite farm. Think of a small unit located in a backyard and owned by a family or a few families in a village or a neighborhood. They only sell to their close neighbors, so there's no need to do any marketing, and there's also no need to store the fish. Someone wants a few fishes, he knocks at their door, they take the fish out of the tank and sell it fresh, healthy, and very close to the consumers. It can literally be installed almost anywhere. All we need is a flat plot of 28 by 12 meters, electricity connection, and about 40 cubic meters of fresh water per day. Each such small farm can produce 15 metric tons of fish a year. We talk about 15,000 kilos, approximately 30,000 of healthy, large fish. We designed the system to produce the first income after only 3 months. So every quarter, 1/4 of the annual production is ready to be sold and should be sold throughout the entire quarter. Every satellite farm can produce a very nice net income of $5,000 to $10,000, and sometimes even more. When I started my presentation, I told you it has other added values. This is the time to discuss them. The first one is rural development. This model helps create more productive families with a very nice income that can then grow and become wealthier and healthier. We believe that the perfect candidates are young families with high motivation to learn something new. Army veterans, local leaders, and young entrepreneurs are also perfect candidates to own and run a satellite farm. The farm produces steady income year-round. There's no need for previous experience. We will teach them how to grow healthy fish. From the state's point of view, once this project is completed, there will be many experienced fish farmers in the region that will surely increase their business and spread their knowledge. You must be asking, how much does it cost? Well, as you can see, not much. A complete farm costs about $69,000. As much as this is a small investment, I believe that this expense should be done by the government or NGOs. Fish is a sensitive animal. It needs to be stored and transported in cold environment. The best way to ensure food security when it comes to fish is to sell it very fresh, out of the water tank and straight to the kitchen. This is what we offer here. We live in a world of not enough clean water. Wasted water from the fish tanks are perfect for agriculture and are reused, so practically no water is wasted. What do we need from you? First, help us find the central farm owner operator in your region. Help us find candidates to own and manage satellite farms. Help us fund the satellite farms and let us do the rest. There are many details. I will be more than happy to be in touch with everyone here and help promote this great model. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eli Shubi. And now we'll be with the next thing. With us today is Mr. Jabulani Mabuza, Minister of Agriculture, Kingdom of Eswatini. Hello, Mr. Minister. Thank you for joining us. What are the food security challenges faced by Eswatini?
Agriculture in the Kingdom of Eswatini, we are facing challenges just like I think the rest of most of our countries. The issue of the climatic conditions, it's a very big challenge for all of us. But we are hoping for the best, maybe this year, because of the statistics that we have received that are showing that we might be receiving rains from normal to above normal. We hope that will happen. But the big challenge that we have now is the issue of the COVID-19. For sure, it has affected a lot of things in the country, especially in the issue of production. So there are a lot of challenges. But anyway, on top of that, we have prepared as a government, we have prepared an economic recovery strategy that speaks to the agriculture sector mainly, and also the manufacturing side, the projects from the private sector, very promising projects. We are hoping for the best. If all these projects can be implemented, we hope that there will be a turnaround in the agriculture sector. But basically, we face similar challenges as countries in terms of the climatic conditions. But we have a strategy that is focusing on the agriculture sector, especially on the issue of the water harvesting, because we sometimes receive rains, but because we don't have enough dams, and then we will lose that water, and then very shortly, then we are without water. If we can build dams, so in our strategy, we are talking about building a very big dam that will cost us in our currency about 7 billion. It's starting this year. We are hoping that maybe that dam, the coverage in terms of production that we are expecting, it's about 30,000 hectares of high-value crop, that is vegetables, macadamia, avocados, and everything, besides sugar, because we are a very good country in sugar production. That we hope can assist us. And also, we are also going to build about 17 dams, that is, we call them small to medium dams. They will also help because they have the downstream development. They will help in terms of, water harvesting, and also developing our animal production sector, and also the vegetables or the crop production line. It is not only that there is so much on the strategy, but I don't know how much time do I have. Or should I continue and explain my strategy?
I think we will stop now, Mr. Mabuza. Thank you very much for your time. You have an important meeting, and let's hope for better cooperation between Israeli companies and the Kingdom of Eswatini.
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate if they can, we can engage, especially on the issue of the big project that I'm talking about, the water harvesting. That is a very, very big project where we need a lot of support. Thank you very much once again for listening.
Thank you, Minister Mabuza. If we speak about business, we should talk about finance.
Hey everyone, I'm Dee Dee. Discount Bank clients think of me as more than just a friendly face. For many of them, I'm the Discount Bank app's personal assistant, a guru and a digital celebrity. But hey, enough about me. Let's go back in time to where it all began. Israel Discount Bank's story began 83 years ago when Mr. Leon Rekanati established the bank's first branch in Tel Aviv. Right from the very beginning, the bank was characterized by a spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship, a strong connection with the community, branches that were open at unusual hours, and thinking for the benefit of the customer have made Discount Bank a nationwide success. In the years after, the bank continued to lead Israeli banking. Discount was the first bank to launch ATM machines, the first to distribute credit cards, and the first to assimilate telebanking systems. Nowadays, Discount is much more than a bank. It's a financial group holding IDB New York, the largest Israeli bank in the US, alongside Cal and Diners Club, the leading credit card company in Israel, Mercantile Bank, specializing in sector banking, Discount Capital, specializing in investments and venture capital funds, and of course, Discount Bank, one of the leading banks in Israel. Over the years, the bank became more sophisticated, professional, developed, and up-to-date. Yet one thing remains as it was in the days of Leon Rekanati. Its spirit, the Discount spirit. Driven by an intense desire to create value for new and existing customers, and committed to providing a personal and professional service experience, Discount Bank activity is still based on understanding customer needs, and the bank offers optimal solutions in a variety of service channels. Only nowadays, by using advanced digital services and creating innovative solutions like fintech and open banking, and, well, me, your humble digital assistant, an award-winning application, by the way. It is Discount Bank's belief that community involvement is part of its business. And in order to meet this commitment, the bank is active with the Lema'an project and encourages bank employees to volunteer for these purposes. It was the Discount spirit that, along with the bank's management, created a flexible strategy capable of facing any rapid challenges and adapting the bank services to be the best for our customers. With satisfaction and gratitude, we welcome tomorrow with a smile.
So with us here in the studio are Corinne Gano, Head of Structured Export Finance at Israel Discount Bank, David Klein, Executive Vice President of ASHRA, Mr. Manuel Moses, Country Manager of East Africa International Finance Corporation, will be joining later. Also René Omberg, Global Head of Client Relations, African Export-Import Bank, Afrexim Bank. Still with us, the Ambassador Masima from Tanzania. Watching us are also representatives of investment funds from around the world who are interested in investing in Israel innovation companies. Let's start with a question to Corinne Gano from Israel Discount Bank. What could be the message or the measures to provide assistance to food security issues in Africa?
So thank you for the question. Thank you very much for inviting us first for this very important mission, actually. Whereby I would like to mention that Israel Discount Bank is indeed very active in Africa. And I don't know what is Africa, because we should say Africa, because each country out of Africa is different from the other one. Everyone has its own specificity, own needs, own language and culture. They all need money. The problem is indeed how we can raise these funds. And Israel Discount Bank is a commercial bank, whereby we have regulation, we have Bank of Israel and instruction, And we need to have some very important aid from the government in order to be able to provide our balance sheet and to finance all the beautiful project, obviously in the food security, to these different countries. We are active in Tanzania, we are active in Zambia, in Gabon, in many, many different countries. And yet we need the help of the government through an ECA. And I'm glad that Dodi Klein is here because he will discuss about the ECAs. And in the ECAs, actually, they are taking the risk. Unfortunately, in Israel, we are lacking the full support of the government, which is different of other countries. And I'm sorry that I have to say it here, but we would have liked to see an ECA much stronger to be able to help all these exporters, to help actually the African countries. So this is, it's very important for the local economy as well, because when the export is being dealt, so it brings in so many taxes, so many incomes, employment. So we would have been glad to provide with more financing. Today we are a little bit stopped with that.
When you talk about help from the government, you're talking about the Israeli government or states in
I am speaking
Africa?
for the state of Africa is very different because each country has its own abilities. Some will provide with their guarantees, some other ones will not provide with a guarantee. So we have to learn about each structure and to be able to adapt it. What I was saying is about the Israel government and in all the industrialized country, there is what is called the Export Credit Agency, who provide lines to the commercial bank to provide, at the end of the day, the funding and the balance sheet of the bank to this beautiful project. And in Israel, there are so many excellent exporters with technology, with knowledge, and the ability to raise major projects. And unfortunately, today, we do not have this help enough. So sorry that I have to say that.
Okay, Dodi Klein from Ashra, what kind of financial solution do you offer companies and African nations for projects on the continent?
Well, Ashra can offer a variety of very comfortable and flexible financial solutions to the African buyers. Of course, we have a lot of solutions like buyer's credit, promissory note, forfeiting, bank-to-bank loans. And the advantage of all these financial solutions is that the African buyers can get from the Israeli exporter the best technology, the most advanced technology in the project with a very attractive financial package. So the African buyer can get the project now and will pay later. He can pay in a very long credit period of 10 to 12 years with a very comfortable terms, meaning that the interest will be very low. So the credit alternative of using Ashra and the Israeli banks is very cheap compared to the other. From the other hand, you have the Israeli exporter that he wants to sell in Africa. And of course, to sell in Africa, you have to offer credit terms. You have to offer long-term credit. So to be more competitive, the Israeli exporter have to offer credit terms of 10, 12, even 15 years. So what we are doing in Ashra, we support the transaction. And by doing that, we're providing the ability to give credit. But of course, that the exporter cannot wait 10 or 12 years for the payments. So by supporting him, we enable him to receive the money immediately after the delivery. So basically what we are doing, we are converting the credit transaction into cash transaction for the benefit of all sides. So in the end of the day, the African buyer will receive the project with the best technology, Israeli technology. The Israeli exporter will complete the transaction, receive the money, and move on to the next transaction and will do more export. And the banks will make a loan to the African buyer with a guarantee of Ashra, which is equal to the guarantee of the State of Israel that will enable Bank Discount and other banks to make the loan in a very cheap interest.
Thank you, Dudi and Corinne. You'll stay with us, please. Joining us via Zoom, Mr. Manuel Moses, Country Manager, East Africa International Finance Corporation. The World Bank finances many projects in Africa in the field of agriculture in general. What is the scope of your investments in Africa?
Yeah, we at the IFC, part of the World Bank Group, are also very keen on promoting agricultural productivity. We do support investments in agriculture. We do support the transfer of technology that improves the productivity of the farmers in Africa. We do support also the commercialization of agriculture. So what we do is, as the previous speaker has said, is to provide financing that is necessary to bring the technology to the continent. So we are a financier and we are willing to partner with exporters who have technology that we need so that it can be deployed in the continent. So this is how we approach it. We have a big program in Africa. We do an average of about $5 billion of investments, and about 20% of that is in the agricultural space. So we're very, very big in agriculture and really want to promote the transfer of technology into the continent, especially in agriculture. And we're happy that we're here talking to one of the best technology providers in agriculture, which is your country, Israel. So we're really, supportive of whatever you want to do in the continent, and we'll be able to also, support in terms of building capacity, for the farmers. It's not just the technology, but how to do it. So this is how we want to partner with, technology providers coming from Israel.
And how,
Thank you. I hope that answers.
No, Mr. Moses, how can you help Israeli technology firms to do business in Africa?
So I think they are providing technology, and what normally is the issue is the financing. So we are a financial institution. So we do then support, either the commercial farmer here or the person who wants to deploy the technology with the financing that they need, so that they can bring the technology over. So, but also we will also be willing to finance the capacity building that is required to be able to utilize that technology in the continent. So if there is, for example, need for training by an exporter based in Israel, in Africa, to come and build capacity in the continent, we are also happy to provide the technical assistance, support, so that that technology is transferred and it is used well. And also we are happy to do long-term financing, so that the buyer here does not have to fork out all the money at the same time. So the idea of using buyer credit and also supporting through letters of credit and all those financial instruments, we are able to do that, either working with the banks or working with the farmers directly. But agriculture is very, very important in the continent, and we want to be part of that support.
Of course, Mr. Manuel Moses, International Finance Corporation, thank you very much for joining us. Now we'll be talking with René Omberg, Global Head of Client Relations, African Export-Import. Hello to you. How are you supporting international companies in doing projects in Africa?
Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity as the Trade Finance Bank for Africa to participate in this webinar on food security in Africa. We are all living through challenging times where our continent has been ridden by floods, by droughts, by famine in different places, including the challenges of the pandemic, disruptions to supply chain. So as you know, the African Export-Import Bank was established under the auspices of the African Development Bank as a Pan-African multilateral trade finance institution. We function as an international public sector, private sector partnership whose mandate is to finance and promote intra-African and extra-African trade. We do use three broad services. The first one is credit, providing trade and project finance to our stakeholders, risk-bearing instruments like guarantees and credit insurance, and then trade information and advisory. The bank works across the whole continent, all countries of the continent. We have our headquarters in Cairo, and we have branch offices in Harare, in Abuja, Abidjan, Kampala, and very soon Douala, covering 51 participating member countries. The bank is a rated institution by both Moody's, Fitch, and GCR. As part of the 5th strategic plan of the bank, one of the key pillars is industrialization and export development. So we are working with providers like yourselves from Israel, we can benefit from the transfer of technology into Africa to develop industrial parks for agriculture, to help with import substitution, and to help with trying to process, grow, or transform some of our local foods for domestic consumption, which will then reduce the burden of trade deficits because African countries don't have to import. So we use our instruments of either providing credit, providing guarantees, working through financial intermediaries, financial institutions, to be able to support both domestic, international, regional, and government players in the sector of agriculture. Thank you.
Mr. Omberg, thank you again, African Export-Import Bank. Thank you again for your awards. We welcome back, thank you, Mr. Omberg, trying, if I have a firm and I want to do business in Africa,
Sure.
I need money to finance the activity.
What should I do?
Yes, of course. This is what Ashra is for. You know, Ashra is aiming to promote the exports. So the situation in Africa is always, there is a need of finance, there is a need of money, because there is a need for a lot of things in Africa, farms, hospital, everything. But in order to succeed, you have to be able to offer the African buyer a financial package. That meaning that the African can buy, but he cannot pay everything in cash, usually. Usually he wants a credit, like he wants to pay like in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years. And what we are doing as Ashra, as a government agency, we are taking the risk of the buyer. And by doing that, we're enabling the African buyer to pay in a long term. So this usually the key question. When you start negotiating, usually the first question is what are you selling? The second question is, can you provide us with a financial solution? And if you want financial solution, you have to come to Ashra, because the banks are financing, but only if Ashra is covering it.
We have the African banks and the Israeli banks.
Israeli banks, yes, that's it. I would like just to continue on that and saying that so many marketing people are coming to the finance people saying, look, I have the major transaction. If we have financing, so we can do the deal. But it's not true. And as I just started to say, indeed, if you do not come with a very precise business plan, and if you do not check internally, where is this project budgetized? Is it a true story, not a true story? And then these companies, the financial people of those companies, has to come to the financial people, Ashra, the commercial bank, and to discuss the structuring. And it has to be done at a very earlier stage, because very often we say, look, it's not serious. And then afterward, we help them to structure them. We do not only provide with the balance sheet of the bank, obviously, but indeed we are advising them about the real structure to be done.
You know, businesses are businesses, but what is the difference by doing businesses in Africa, or special problems, if I can say?
Okay.
Who wants to answer?
I can continue, but I'm not okay. As you want.
Okay. In Africa, there is a problem of culture. The Israeli culture or the United States culture is not as the Africa culture. So I think that it's very important to involve it into the financial report. For example, it takes time from time to time to pass the machine from one country to another. So there is lots of cases like that you need to take ahead in account. And you see it as you build the finance program plan.
Ambassador Massima.
Yes. I agree with them, but one of the biggest problems we are facing is on interest rate and the grace period. That will come with those which apply to your countries, thinking that they will apply also to Africa. Mm-hmm. We needed to consider that one. We were starting a project, a new project, it hasn't matured, and then already the interest rate is taking place. You could find, for instance, now, I suspect that a number of African countries are going to face a problem because with the loans they are having, now they are getting another loans for the COVID-19. The question is, why can't you keep it on hold, the interest rate? Because with the COVID-19, nothing is moving. Now you are giving us another loan for that one. So in 2 to 3 years' time, you could find that Africa is in problems simply because we are having those loans which you took from the banks and other institutions, and also from the corona-related whatever, which came out with that one. So we need to look on that one. That's why we are saying that it's high time. Instead of you giving us loans at this time, suspend those loans. Right. So that we can manage this, because we are in a tight corner now. How can you manage to pay your debt and also to service this loan? At the same time, we get a loan from other countries. This is very, very difficult, and is going to cost a number of countries in Africa.
So I thank you very much for this, because I started this discussion saying that when you are actually borrowing from commercial bank, so we have to report to the Bank of Israel, to our shareholders, and this is why we need actually the help of the government. So I start with that because a commercial bank, indeed, we lend money, we have to receive it back. And we are mainly facing many issues in Africa because indeed we provide funds, we need to receive it back, and we fully understand that. So we are trying to managing everything, and it's very, very complicated. But we want to do it.
Ambassador Massimo, as the representative of the African continent here is in that table, what companies from Israel doesn't know about doing business in Africa?
Yeah, first is that the culture issue, which Dr. Ayala pointed out. It seems that they wanted to bring with...
Give me one kind of mistake.
When we're talking
usually.
Yes. For instance, if I come here in Israel,
yes,
I need to know the culture of how the kosher food is and whatever. But if you come to Tanzania, you don't ignore that part. You would like to move with your Israeli cultures. And I would like to go much to those sensitive issues. But please make sure that once
kind of a common mistake that you can point on.
Yeah, for instance, you could find that a number of companies, once they wanted to deal with something, they wanted to talk with the head of state. That, please, am I going to meet your president?
Yeah.
What's that? We are here to do that one.
Yes.
So we could think that it might be easy to other places, but one will come out, ultimately, his intention is to meet the head of state.
We want to go back to Mr. Manuel Moses. How does the World Bank decide where to invest in Africa?
Thank you so much. I think, as you are saying, is the World Bank. So we are supposed to be in every country, in theory. So we do have, offices across the whole continent in Africa. Leveraging what the World Bank offices. So in every country in Africa, we have a presence. But IFC itself is not as big as the World Bank, but we have hub offices out of Nairobi, where I'm sitting today. Another hub office is in Johannesburg, and another one in Dakar. And in those three hub offices, we do have the scale and the capacity to service the other countries. And now each and every country is trying to promote its developmental objectives. So we try and follow what the country is trying to do. So if we are talking about, for example, here in Kenya, tea is a very important crop. And so is sugar, so is coffee. So those are the priorities of the country. So we will then follow the priorities of those countries to say, how can we introduce private sector solutions and finance companies that are trying to promote productivity in those sectors. If you go to another country, it could be another crop, it could be cotton, that is majority, leading that particular economy. So we really try and follow the national priorities of the country, but also introducing private sector solutions. But in theory, we are supposed to be in every country because they're all our member countries.
Mr. Moses, what are your criteria to give funding to international projects?
So we are here in commercial banking. So as you heard from the other speakers, we really want to promote projects that can sustain themselves and be able to, prove that they can repay the capital that we are outlaying. So really, it's all about viability. We are not here to finance projects that are not able to pay, because we know in the long term it's not sustainable. We are also here to promote projects that are promoting environmental and social sustainability. So that's another big criteria that we have as an institution to make sure that whatever you're doing, you're also carrying along the stakeholders. It's no use in displacing people and then doing an agricultural project where only the company benefits. But we want to see how that company can work with its community so that they can also benefit from that development. So really, those are some of the criteria that we do, but we are looking at economic and financial viability as the main criteria. So sustainability can only be retained. I hope that gives you a guidance. But we are happy to talk to look at opportunities and proposals that are coming. If there are companies that are struggling to get financing, that they are trying to unlock a particular opportunity, we are happy to hear. We have huge presence on the continent, and we're happy to support every entrepreneur, every company that is trying to expand into the continent in any way we can.
Thank you, Mr. Moses. Thank you for your words, for your help and financing. We want to hear a few closing words from René Omberg. You're still with us, I hope so.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, the African continent has a lot to benefit from the experience and expertise of Israel. First of all, the entrepreneurship and the innovation of the Israeli private sector will be of tremendous benefit to Africa. Africa offers large arable land, water for agriculture, for processing. They have a dynamic and vibrant population. Increasingly, we are seeing political stability and good governance across most of our countries. We have financial institutions like ours who are willing and able to partner with Ashra and other commercial banks. Other development institutions also in the continent are willing to partner together to support agricultural initiatives and projects on the continent. We believe that it is important to provide food. A hungry man is an angry man. So we need to be able to provide food by creating agricultural opportunities to also create jobs. So this is a good opportunity to invite some of our friends from Israel to take this opportunity. Yes, times are hard, but to take this opportunity to partner, and I mean to build long-term partnerships with African businesses, to transfer knowledge, to transfer technology, to transfer skills, to help to build greenhouses, farms, large-scale commercial farms, transform, process, so that we can have these goods at affordable cost in our markets. There will be challenges, certainly, but these challenges we can overcome working together. These challenges, we can work together to overcome them. So we hope that this opportunity is a good one for us to share our knowledge and make ourselves available to discuss with one another. We also thank the Israeli Africa Chamber of Commerce for putting this together. I think it's a good initiative, and we would like to follow up with any interested Israeli companies how Afri-Exim Bank can be of support to them. Thank you very much.
Mr. Omberg, African Export-Import Bank. Times are hard, you said, so this is also the opportunities for the future, maybe if we will look at the good thing about it. Thank you very much, Mr. Omberg. I'll say thank you also for the people here in the studio, Ayala, Dudi, and Corinne, and Ambassador Massima from Tanzania. Thank you very much for being with us. We have heard today about the needs of Kenya and Ghana, Ethiopia, Congo, and Tanzania in the field of food security. We received an overview of the continent from Honorable Tony Blair with us here in Israel, Ministers of Agriculture and Science and Technologies. We were exposed to leading Israeli agri-tech companies that can help the problems of food security. IMPROVATE's next conference will be on the topic of upgrading agriculture through smart agricultural technologies in Eastern Europe, and will take place in October 29th, 2020, chaired by the former Bulgarian President Rosen Plevneliev and agriculture ministers from Eastern Europe. Thank you all Let's hope for better days for everybody, health for everybody. Thank you.